If you two are wondering, should I sell my house now or wait? Is it better to sell my house or wait? Do I sell my house now or wait? These are the questions that I get all the time because the sellers are wondering, is this a good time to cash out on equity? And they don't want to miss out, right? If any of this applies to you, you've got to know 9 fundamentals that allowed most of my sellers to cash out on the equity hassle-free and move into a different location successfully. And if you want the answer to all of those questions, stay tuned because the answer is probably not what you think. Firstly and mostly, let's start with fundamental number 9, data versus trend. It's important to stop paying attention to the short-term data and start paying attention to the long-term trend. Big difference. Why is it important? Well, because moving is not a short-term game, but a long-term gain. Makes sense? Fundamental number 8, start with the end in mind. Seriously, what do you plan to do after you sell? Are you selling and renting? Are you selling and buying? Are you selling and moving out of state? Fundamental number 7, buying and renting. Renting is a trend. We're becoming the renter's nation. But do you understand the risk? Do you? Therefore, if you sell now and not buy, you're very likely to be priced out, right? And that's the risk you can't control. So crunch your numbers. Numbers do not lie. Or another risk, inflation and your cashed out equity. Fundamental number 6, are you selling, moving out of state? Relocating is a trend and working from home is also a trend, right? But do you understand the risk? Because a lot of people are moving out of high-priced areas such as San Francisco, Los Angeles, New York, and here is the risk. Once you move out of those high appreciation areas, it's disproportionately difficult to move back in, at least without losing tons and tons of equity. So look at the numbers, run your worst case scenario, and then decide sell now or wait. Yes, that's right. Fundamental number 5, are you selling and moving into more affordable state? Miami, Florida, or Phoenix, Arizona? Many buyers are relocating to a different state in pursuit of affordability. Some are relocating permanently, some are buying vacation homes or even rentals. But what's the biggest risk? Broad spectrum affordability. For example, a buyer moving into Texas in pursuit of lower home prices may not be aware, big surprise, that the property taxes are excessively high, and that will not make their move worthwhile. But once you move, it's too late. Fundamental number 4, not all local states are created equal. For example, stop paying attention to the national trends and start paying micro attention to the local trends. For example, U.S. housing market went down last month by 7 points and Utah housing market went up. That's quite a bit of difference at a data point. It's not a trend. But go further and start looking into micro areas. For example, Salt Lake City inventory point 0.3. However, 30 minutes south to Utah County or in Provo area, the inventory is 0.7, double. And then 30 minutes east to Park City, inventory 1.4. And that's only one of the variables. So look at those numbers. Numbers do not lie. Decide accordingly. Fundamentals number 3, selling a house and waiting for recession for the prices to decline. Well, I have bad news for you. Look at this graph. 1970 recession. Interest rates are super high. Inflation is super high. Guess what happened to housing prices? Housing prices went up and up and up for a decade. Fundamental number 2, mortgage interest rate trap. If you look at this graph, you'll notice that 5% seemed awfully high. But if you look at this graph, you'll notice that based on this data, interest rate could only go up and up and up, right? Therefore, not controlling your interest rate by not locking it for 30 days is actually a much treacherous path. And that leads us to fundamental number 1. Why buying and selling within 30-day timeline? That's because it's the mortgage lock sweet spot opportunity timeline. No wonder that those sellers who do make their moves successfully end up buying and selling within 30 days mortgage lock timeline.